So let me introduce our first speaker. That's Professor Priti Saxena, and she comes to us from the Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University. And Professor Saxena has a very, very impressive CV. And she has a teaching experience of almost 30 years and more than 26 years of research experience. And her research interests are in constitutional law, constitutional governance, right to information, administrative law, human rights, criminal law and cyber law, women issues, and science and technology towards an international intellectual property rights. And she published extensively on those topics. One of her most recent publications, which I'm going to check out, is about Robert criminal libel, published in the International Journal of Creative Research, SOTS. Professor Saxena also is a recipient of multiple honors, recognitions, and awards. She presented extensively nationally and internationally, and she has a very impressive list of publications in the areas of her research. So she's going to speak about impact of COVID-19 pandemic on teaching, learning process, on legal education, and India. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Jessie, for the nice words about me. Good morning to all. It's 5:45 in India morning. My topic is impact of COVID on the legal education. It is an empirical study which I conducted through the Google survey on 400 respondents. Regarding legal education in India is primarily imparted by three kinds of institutions. First, that is the central and the state universities, the law schools and law departments therein, and the constituent colleges, and thirdly, the private colleges which are affiliated to these universities. So this is the first type of the institution which imparts legal education. Secondly, we have national law universities, national law schools, which are established under the state laws. And thirdly, the private universities. So three types of the institutions, they impart legal education in India. They offer either a 3-year law program, LLB, and that was introduced in 1967 in India by the Bar Council of India, the highest regulatory body for legal education. And prior to that, there was only 2-year law program in the country. And then later on, since 1982, we are also having a 5-year integrated law program. That is LLB with the Bachelor of Arts, LLB with Bachelor of Business Administration, then law with commerce, law with science, and at the same time, specialization in the IP, that is the intellectual property rights and that law. So this is an integrated program which are being run in various private universities as well as national law universities and schools. At PG level, postgraduate level, there is one course, that is the 1-year LLM program that was started from 2013. And prior to that, we are having the 2 years law program. So this 1-year program is being run by the national law universities and various state and central universities along with the private law universities. And this has been started as per the guidelines of the University Grants Commission, that is the highest regulatory body for education in India. Along with this 1-year law program, we are also having the 2-year law programs that is being run in various universities and colleges. This is either general law program in post-graduation course or with the specialization like LLM in constitutional law, commercial law, family law, human rights, and many other specializations are there. So for research in law, there is MPhil program, Master of Philosophy, and though it is not a common program in all the universities, however, some of the universities run this course also. And PhD program is offered in almost all the universities which are running the PG program. The PhD degree is also known as a DPhil in some of the universities, and another degree as postdoctoral program in law is LLD program. Initially, some universities confer LLD degree for the research in law. Now, in some universities, this degree is given after the PhD program. So the quality of the students from different institutions is vastly different also. There is a drastic and extreme disparity in the extent and the kind of legal education which is imparted by these different academic institutions in India. The COVID-19 pandemic that has disturbed the lives of the people, not only in India, but we all know across the globe. And in response to this unprecedented challenge due to the spread of this coronavirus disease 2019, the government of India and the state governments have ordered the closure of academic institutions. Like in other countries also, there were lockdowns. So we are also having the lockdown in the cities because we have to control the spread of this infection. And the guidelines which were issued, that is to work from home. And the students were instructed to leave the campuses and study from the home. And you see, as a consequence, the teachers and the students are confined at the home. All the teachers were forced to rely on the online teaching, and the students also had no choice but to study online. All the classes kept continuing through online platforms such as the Microsoft Teams, Zoom, WebEx, Meet, whatever online platforms were available and were known to the teachers that we have started in India. Some of the teachers, they also have recorded their lectures and put on the YouTube and Facebook so that the continuation may be there in the teaching and learning. So teaching and learning online to complete the required academic tasks and the courses through the internet, that has become a new normal. And everyone has had to be proactive to catch up the new technology by themselves, because there was no training as such, and there were no online course to train the teachers on how to teach online, except self-learning through the YouTube videos and otherwise. The teachers had to face a great challenge in teaching online. The teachers long for their face-to-face classes, and the students also miss their campus life. They miss interactions, rather, I should say. They take place during their classes, because in online teaching, this was not possible simply. So initially, there was a problem to both students and teachers when they were forced to entirely rely on the online education. But as this semester has been going online, various courses are offered online in the portal of the University Grants Commission also, like MOOCs courses and other YouTube courses were available on the online. And the teachers and the students learned to use the internet and various platforms used by teaching online by trial and error initially, and then in a well-organized manner, you see. So the efforts and the actions to go with the situation are necessary. That was because we don't had any other option except to accept this online teaching learning, and it was commendable too. But there are some points to worry, which have been faced due to the school suspension or home confinement and that distance learning due to this online teaching learning. And because of this home confinement, you see, the homes were also not the place of study. And there were interruptions from parents, siblings, etc. As for many students, there was no private space or separate room to sit on for the online classes in their home. The extra burden to be invested by them for electronic gadgets and fast internet connection, that was also creating the problem. And sometimes you see it was not affordable by everyone, as that needed to spend much of the money. And there seems to have adverse effects on the students' health, both physical as well as mental. And to the extent that they started committing suicide even. In the school, at school level, you see, the students, they have committed suicide because they were not having the gadgets to attend the online classes. And the issues like the fear of corona infection, the frustration, the boredom, and inadequate and improper information, lack of private space at home for teaching, learning online, And above all, the digital divide that is continued to emerge and increase during the COVID-19 outbreak. So this physical and mental health of the student had a direct impact on their learning also. The examination system, the evaluation and assessment, that all have changed due to this pandemic, and how the exams will be conducted and proctored become a challenge for the teachers and the students. So this has greatly affected the familiarity and progress of the students in a professional course like legal education. Students with marginalized backgrounds, they were facing a lot concerns, including the lack of access to the libraries and the reading material also. The financial constraints were also, which divide the students digitally because of this gadget-based division was there. And this mental and physical issues and lack of conducive home environment, as I told you, that had also a great impact on the student, and that's why their learning was also hindered because of this environment. Legal education is not only, you see, a classroom based teaching or completing the syllabus, given syllabus, but practical training like clinical training, moot court, etc., are all part of that. Which could not be conducted in proper manner. It was being done online, the moot court competitions and all these things, but if it would be face to face, then there would be much better result. Okay. So the shift from the physical to online class has reduced the passion for learning, which ultimately affect the quality of legal education. And though we had the vaccination in India, but because the percentage of the vaccinated people is much less, so still there are certain institutions which are conducting teaching learning online, even we are not in the lockdown. So in this background, I have conducted an online survey and collected the data through that Google form, and I have received responses of 400 plus persons from the legal education only students and teachers both, and they are from various states in India and from different universities. So I put 20 questions before them regarding the effectiveness of online teaching, learning, exam, health issue, problem of isolation, home confinement, change in teaching pedagogy and learning outcomes, etc. So a few results of that, the teaching and learning online is what for them. So 17.4% said it's a frustration, 27.3% said it's a boredom, and 38% 7.7% said that it's an enjoyment. Online teaching learning is an enjoyment. Then whether it is effective or online teaching learning is effective or not, 32.5% agreed, 17.1% strongly agreed that it is effective, while 10.7% strongly disagree and 13.6% disagree on that. However, there were 24.6% students and teachers, they say that it depends on what is being taught, because it's a legal education and what type of the courses are being taught. So it depends that it is effective through online mode or not. So another question was that, is there any adverse effect on the students' physical and mental health because of this online classes? So 42.7% says that yes, there is an effect. 25.6% says that there is no effect, and 30.3% says it depends on the initial condition of the student, whether they could take the online classes in that manner or not. Then physical and mental health of the students has a direct impact on their learning also. 52.1% agreed and 21.3% strongly agreed. So you see the majority of the students, they agreed that this has online teaching learning has put the impact physically as well as mental impact on those students. Then online teaching has greatly affected the familiarity and the progress of the students in the professional course like legal education. So they say that 38.2% said that yes, it is there, and they agreed with that. 13.4% is strongly agreed, 15.9% disagree, and 6.5% strongly disagree with that. Then learning and examination performance competition, especially online, lead to different degrees of academic pressure. So they said that 48.1% agreed, 10.7% strongly agreed, 14.6% disagree, and 4.5% strongly disagree with this. Then during COVID lockdown, the conflicting family schedules, change in the eating and sleeping habits, digital divide, separation from the colleagues, classmates, and loneliness has adverse effects on teachers and students. So 48.2% says that yes, it has an effect. They are agreed. 20.5% is strongly agreed. So total 68.7% were in favor that yes, it has affected during this COVID. This all has affected very strongly on them. Then teaching learning pedagogy from traditional lecture-based education to an outcome-based education that includes the knowledge, skills, and attitudes will be more effective through the online method or not. Only 36.6% agreed, while 17.6% disagreed, and 4.7% strongly disagreed. So the maximum percentage was again in favor of that, the online teaching learning pedagogy that may be changed from the lecture-based to the other outcome-based education that can be fruitful. Then online mode of teaching learning in law as a professional course has affected practical learning. So here you see 41.2% agreed and 22% strongly agreed. So total 63% they were in agreement that the online teaching learning has of course affected their practical learning, because we know the law education is more and more a practical learning than the academic than otherwise also. So another question was online examination assessment are effective for law as a professional course. Then 38% they were disagreed with that, because the examination system, the proctored examination, whatever be there, but that could not be proved to be very, very successful. However, 18.4% remain neutral also in that, because everywhere you see there are different type of the students, so they took it as that online examination assessment are effective for them. And the active teaching and learning methods like clinical education, project-based methods, problem-based methods, moot court, role play, field trip, group work, and group discussion, etc. through online can enhance the interest in teaching and learning. 36% agreed, 9% is strongly agreed, 29% disagreed. So I found that online mode of teaching has helped students to navigate through difficult times, but on campus teaching is a better learning experience. The shift from physical to online classes has reduced the passion for learning, which ultimately affect the quality of legal education. And in this period, there was no direct communication between the teachers and the students. So online moot court examination, assignment classes, they have not, the students were not grilled, the law students to have more and more practical knowledge of legal fields. And though the COVID-19, during this COVID-19, online mode provide us a measure to stay connected with the students and continue studies, but it was not as effective as the classroom teaching. And classroom teaching cannot be replaced with this online teaching. Further, the network issue has always been a problem. Most of the students didn't have smartphones. There was less attendance in online class. This is also perceived that the students were not attending the classes properly. So the concentration of the students in the class was also seen very, very low. And thus COVID has a great impact on legal education in India, and legal study is almost, as I told you, practical based study, but due to the online classes, students don't get practical knowledge. That is why this has adversely affected the students. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and I could present myself on this impact in legal education in India during this COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your talk, and I'm sure we can relate to pretty much every item you've mentioned. We've all been there, and of course the impact is huge on both the students and teachers, and I guess it will take us a while to recover and bounce back and feel that things are normal. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and observations with us. And it's time for questions.
Yeah.
So we have Luke who raised his hand. So please unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for such an interesting presentation. I'm Luke Nottage from the University of Sydney, and I'm actually co-reporter for a project on comparing online legal education across about 24 countries. We're expecting national reports. This is for the International Academy of Comparative Laws Congress next year in Paraguay, although I don't think many of us will be getting there. So you know, your update on India is very helpful, very interesting for us, because that's not one of the reports we have. My question is, with the data, well, two questions. First, administrative one. I hope there's a paper or something we can access later, please, because some of your statistics, I was trying to take notes, but there's a lot of information there. I'd love to read more detail if there's anything on a paper or a set of PowerPoints, please, afterwards. But the specific question now is, did you disaggregate the responses based on the sorts of the class sizes? Because I think we've all experienced that in a group of maybe up to 20, even 30, as long as you can get everyone on the screen in Zoom or something, then it's possible to have a lot of good interaction. People can sort of see each other, although it's more exhausting online and so on. But that's very different from, say, a class of even 40, 50, where not everyone is on the screen and it gets a lot unmanageable. So does your data
this was a great problem. This was a great problem because for PG courses, for LLM courses, we do have the 30 seats or 40 seats for the student. While for LLB graduation course for the law education, we are having 60 courses in a batch. So 60 students in one batch, and it is not possible to interact with all them on this online classes. So this was the biggest hurdle for online teaching learning during this period.
So your statistics, though, are looking that you were summarizing for us across all the students.
Across all this, that was across all the students of different courses.
And did the postgraduate students sub cohort have a better response, like better experience generally, or have you not looked at that breakdown of the data?
No, I have that data which I have collected, and that was I have taken from all types of these students, and the questions were not regarding like what type of the interaction is there, but the questions which I have just mentioned here, those type of the questions I have asked from those students, and in that the number of the students, that was not my my question in that form. How many students were attending the classes? But as a general, as a general question.
Yeah, it could be that the smaller
this is a good suggestion, Luke, and it would be good that if I would have been, demarcated the students as per the class strength, then this would have a good study.
Thank you. And is there a paper or presentation material you can share with us later?
I can share that because I have that data, and I can share with you all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You can forward it to me, and I can. Directly. That's a benefit of conferences to make these connections and to find something interesting. Wonderful, thank you. Do we have any other questions for the presenter? I have something I wanted to ask personally. Considering you have such a huge, long teaching experience, I wanted to ask, like you listed all, you talked about all these challenges your students had to face. Could you name one or couple of things that kept you going? Because we all had these hard times, but we kept doing and we tried to do our best. And you can look back and you've seen legal education transforming and changing over time. And I'm in academia for 10 years, and for me that was the most challenging times. Who knows what's coming up next year and the year after that? But like looking back, what do you think are these things that just
actually I started teaching since 1991 November. It says 30 years now, And I started teaching to the students of PG law only, the post-graduation, that is LLM courses. I have never been taught this LLB program, barring few, 2-3 years, I've started with the LLB program, but later on I started to teach the PG and PhD programs only. As I have been the dean and the head of the department, so the students, LLB students, they were all there. And I see that initially we were having only 3 years law program. The students, they were very, very mature also. But with this induction of the 5-year law program, the students, they join after 10+2. They are very young and they are focused towards the legal education. They want to do good things. So if I do compare the students from 3-year to 5-year law degree, then we find that the 5-year students are more and more towards this legal education. They are more focused, they are good enough, and they try to learn the things. While in 3 years program, they are just taking the degree and they are not focused towards that program particularly. And so far as the PG degree is concerned, the students, those who are focused, they do come here because this led to them for the academic teaching program also. So they are focused for that. So I see that the change from earlier years till now this legal education is now booming in India also because of various national law schools are there. And they are having the very good pedagogy of teaching. They are having the good teachers also. Everything is now online with these 5-year law programs. And moreover, you see the integration of that program with the science, with commerce, with business administration, along with this IP and engineering. This all is going on in India. And we are having more than 28 national law universities in India. So the students are very good in these. There is a all India competition for admission also. So the students who could do that, who can crack that, only they can be admitted to these schools. So this is how you see that the students who are focused, they are joining and taking admission in 5-year law program, and that's a good result.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. It's all different everywhere. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. That's very insightful. Do we have any other questions or comments from the audience? Just let me attend the chat.
Can I ask something else?
Yeah.
Sorry. Another part of this comparative project I'm involved in is looking at comparing online legal education or education for professionals. So look, after our graduates have started as lawyers or other legal professionals, whether through continuing legal education and so on, do you happen to know if that's was common in India or has become more common afterwards? Although I understand India is a very decentralized country, so it might depend a lot on different states, even cities, how they keep training the lawyers after they've graduated. But if you have a minute or any
actually India is a decentralized. There are 29 states in India, you see, and every state is having one national law university at least. Now it is not dependent of the students. Law students are not depending on which state they belong to, but it depends on which legal institution they are from. If they are from the national law universities, they would likely to go to the litigation. They'll not be coming to the academics or for other job. They'll be in the multinational companies. They will be there, but the students from the private universities, they'll be just doing the litigation in the civil courts, subordinate courts, while these national law schools, they are opening their own consultancy. They are going abroad even. And few students from the central universities and state universities, they just follow after that graduation program for their post-graduation program. They want to be in academics at the same time. One more opportunity for them is to go for the government jobs, for judicial services, because that is also a very tough competition. And the students of the post-graduation law courses, they do apply for that, and they are also taking part in that. Besides the judicial services, there are other legal services in banks and otherwise. So they try for that. So they are having various, possibilities, like they go to the litigation, most probably the students from the national law universities, then they go for the higher education, they go for the judicial services, they go for the other legal services after doing their degree from various types of the legal institutions in India.
Yeah, so I understand, thank you. But the question would then be for those who go and work in law firms, either the bigger elite Indian or national or smaller firms, as lawyers.
Yeah.
Do they generally have to do some mandatory online continuing legal education, like certain number of courses in different areas to keep up to date, set by usually the Lawyers Association, Bar Association? And if so, was there options of doing that online before the pandemic? And has that increased obviously during and now because of the pandemic? Because we see this in Australia and Canada and various other countries, because we have not as big a legal profession as India, but quite a lot of lawyers. And but we want to keep them trained up, and not all of them can go back to university and do an LLM and so on. And so there's this continuing legal education, and to make it easier for all these lawyers, some proportion can be done online, like listening into recordings even, or live streaming and so on. And this started before the pandemic, sometimes more than the universities, through the Bar Association. So has that been happening in India?
Actually, the teachers, they are uploading their lectures on YouTube for the students, but otherwise you see the regular courses are here. We don't have any part-time program for the legal education. No course is available, because the Bar Council of India, the highest regulatory body for legal education, that doesn't allow for the part-time program. So it's a regular program. Students has to go to the colleges and the universities for this learning and teaching purposes. And during this lockdown, even the online classes were there. So the professionals who are working otherwise, or who want to do something else and at the same time want to do the LLM program, so this is not available in India. This is a regular program. There is no part-time. It's a full-time regular course. For students who want to be in litigation or become an advocate, then after their completion of the law degree, the Bar Council of India put one exam, that is Bar Council of India exam, for their registration for litigation in the various courts, High Court, Supreme Court, and the subordinate courts as such. So we don't have any part-time program, and otherwise the courses are available in this CBCS program, that is the choice-based credit system we are having in India. So the UGC, that is University Grants Commission, that is having their portal, and on that portal various programs, various subject courses, they are available there, and students, they can learn from there, they can register themselves there, but they will not get any degree like LLB or LLM, but otherwise they can gain and they can acquire the knowledge from there.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Priti. So please join me in thanking Priti, and let's give her a virtual round of applause. That's again the part of doing things online. Thank you so much. And now we'll move to our second speaker.